Hey, what's going on, Internet's Khalif here again for This Place is Weird. I got another story article to talk with you guys about today. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. This one's from The Hill. The doctors call out Spotify over, quote, false and societally harmful assumptions on Joe Rogan show. A coalition of doctors and science educators is calling for Spotify to take action against misinformation spread on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Quote, by allowing the propagation of false and societally harmful assertions, Spotify is enabling its hosted media to damage public trust in scientific research and sow doubt in the credibility of data-driven guidance offered by medical professionals, quote, unquote. An open letter signed by 270 healthcare professionals stated, Rogan 53 has an estimated 11 million listeners and immense influence, according to the letter, which was reported by Rolling Stone. Epidemiologist Katrin Wallace, who signed a letter, told the magazine that she views Rogan as a menace to public health and that his ideas are, quote, fringed and, quote, not backed in science. Wallace added that having Rogan and his guests on, quote, a huge platform makes it seem there are two sides to the issue, and there are really not. The overwhelming evidence is the vaccine works and it is safe. The healthcare professionals specifically took issue with a controversial episode that featured Robert Malone, a virologist who they said promotes misinformation about COVID-19. This episode has been heavily criticized by many experts for remarks regarding the pandemic and how the coronavirus impacts people, especially those who are younger. Rogan during the show said that if a 21-year-old asked him if they should get the vaccine, he said, I'll go, or quote, I'll go no, unquote. The podcast host, who was infected with COVID-19 while unvaccinated, took the scientifically unproven antifungal medication ivermectin as treatment. The new letter does not call on Spotify to remove Rogan's show, but instead to develop a counter misinformation policy to ensure damaging ideas are not propagated on the streaming service. Spotify previously has not condemned Rogan's remarks, which have been criticized by medical experts, including White House Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci. The Hill has reached out to Spotify and Rogan show for comment. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the whole whether or not the vaccine works stuff. There's been so much bullshit get put out on, like, the quote unquote trusted, credible sources. The story changes every hour, it seems, depending on who's saying something and when they say something. It's credible or it's like a conspiracy theory. They've changed whether or not the lab leak theory was, like, a year ago they said it was a fringe conspiracy theory, but now they're saying that it's a totally plausible explanation. People were saying that they've been running up the COVID death numbers by conflating deaths with people that had COVID versus people that died of COVID, like COVID itself killed them. People were saying you were a fringe conspiracy theorist for thinking that a year ago, and now they're saying that that's been happening. So it's just like, I don't want to touch any of that. I don't know what's going on. This has been like the most confusing like arc in all of my life so far, to the point it's like, if this is like a overarching like freaking war of the worlds type of shit, and China's trying to ruin our country by making us lose faith in our institutions to the point that we don't know which side is up. We like left is right, up is down. It's like, yeah, they've got me totally fucked up. Like, I don't trust anybody. Like, news comes out, it's like, none of that shit. It's like it's crazy, man. There's so much it's confusing, but that's not the point I was trying to make. Like, obviously, like, anyways, I didn't really want to talk too much about that. I might go back and cut out some of that stuff just because that's not the point I wanted to really address here. The whole Joe Rogan becoming a point of contention over the past few years is more so a issue of alternative media versus establishment media. And the main point that I wanted to touch on with this story is the one thing I do know about, like a little bit about, is culture. I'm a cultural anthropologist. What I try to do is I try to figure out where people are coming from their own personal perspectives, their bubbles, different pockets of society, or looking at things from different perspective, and how the way those people think and feel and communicate with one another influences how other people look at them, the things that they end up doing that might come across as weird, fringe, or whatever that is. So this whole like it basically since Trump's election, there's been a very stark distinction in people, media that are on the side of, I just say, the corporate industrial complex, and then grassroots, more people focused things of that sort. And without getting like too far into it, and I'm having a hard time thinking tonight, so I don't want to talk too much, end up saying too much nonsense. But essentially, there's a sort of it's obvious whenever people are on board operating in lockstep with, or I hate the word complicit nowadays, but there is a very clear distinction between the people that are I guess I want to say, like I said, the grassroots people, and then basically it's the military industrial corporate complex. People have a lot of reluctance and distrust of pharmaceutical companies, government in general, and especially in the last 5 years, like I said, since Trump's election, media outlets, media corporations have completely taken a plunge in their credibility, people's trust in them, and things of that sort. I mean, all the Russiagate stuff, me personally, the Covington Catholic stuff absolutely ruined the way I saw a lot of these things, a lot of people. It just, I could go on and on and on about how these are things that if you are on the side of people that are, still on board with the corporate complexes, narrative and things of that sort, all of these things are something that you can like either brush under the rug, or they didn't bother you at all. But for the people that are, for example, fans of Joe Rogan, these are people that have been paying attention to these things, and they've been piling up and adding up and adding up. And CNN, MSNBC, all these different news outlets, all these different online publications, all these different it's almost become a pejorative at this term, the Twitter blue checkmark crowd and things like that. None of these people ever issue retractions, dude. None of these people ever apologize for slandering or disparaging people that they consider deplorables and things of that sort. And they like, it's just it's unfortunate because the medical industry is, obviously, like, whether or not medical professionals, like the people that sign this letter, which, by the way, it's not just all doctors and stuff like that, it's a bunch of students and shit like that. But all the people that signed this letter are probably like, I appreciate the grassroots efforts to try to, fight the misinformation that's out there, but they're looking at the wrong enemy. Honestly, their enemy is on their quote unquote their side. They're shacked up with the pharmaceutically owned information outlets that are putting out stuff that people don't trust. So whether or not what they're saying is true, people don't trust the messenger that they're using to get these stories out there. I mean, Fauci, you almost need to get rid of Fauci, dude. Fauci has become like a cult of personality, almost analogous to the Trump of the left in some ways, to where people are like, I didn't read all of his emails, but I read some of the emails of his that got leaked and things of that sort. And I came across one that somebody sent him. It was some lady that was just she sent it it was a shot in the dark. She was almost sending a prayer out into the universe, just asking for some information on stuff. He responded to her with a couple of lines or something like that, and then her response back to him was some oh my god, my prayers are answered, I never thought you would answer me, oh my god, she was acting, she was fawning over him like he was a celebrity, the way some people might act if Trump were to have talked. Anyways, it's not even a Trump thing. It's just kind of he's become more than just he started to become a figure of, I would say he's the anti-Trump figure. He's supposed to be the cool, collected, rational person that's supposed to help us get out of things using, science. He's a medical professional, all that shit. But he's done some sketchy stuff. He's lied about things. He's said some things that are pretty disrespectful. I don't care who you are or what you're talking about. You don't tell Americans to shove their freedom up their ass and stuff like that. that's when people, you're gonna get people to go into I don't know what the, I don't call it contrarian, but people, a lot of people, me included, have it in me. I try to get over it, but it's I'd rather do something negative out of spite just because you tried to force me to do something positive, even if these people do believe that, anyways, I'm getting besides the point. What I'm trying to say is Joe Rogan isn't these people's enemies, dude, because Joe Rogan is like, he'll be the first person to admit to admit that nobody should be taking what he says seriously. Like, he's not a doctor, he's just some guy. But a lot of people will say that he uses that as a shield to stop him from getting criticism for their misinformation, but it's just the truth. It also, they mentioned in his this letter that Joe Rogan has a lot of kids that listen to him and stuff like that. These media corporations and stuff like that are completely losing their reach towards the younger demographics and things of that sort. I think I saw like on some research page that Facebook has like less than 10% of the under 18 demographic using their site, which is pretty bad. Like, the reach to the vulnerable class that they're talking to is like, it just so happens to overlap with the lack of reach that people have. Like Cartoon Network and Disney and Nickelodeon are all down like 80% and things of that sort. Everybody's going over to YouTube, and it's just all of this stuff seems like it. Like I said, we've got a very clear, distinct cultural gap between people that are trying to view things from a grassroots, non-corporate perspective, and then the people that are like okay with looking through that corporate lens. And as somebody that's looking at it from the non-corporate thing, understanding that they're losing this demographic, they're losing control of the information getting to the people, especially in this 12 to 34 demographic and stuff, that just seems kind of like a, they're taking more shots, just like how YouTube went after PewDiePie and a bunch of other YouTubers trying to say the website is pushing white nationalism and pedophilia and stuff like that, so that they could try to screw over the advertising and strong arm their way into apocalypse and stuff. Like I said, I'm sure if you're not keen to all this stuff that I've been talking about, it seems like it's out of left field, but these are like, it is all these things are a long time coming. They continue to add on and pile up to the point to where you're not going to be able to just very easily convince somebody that you need to stop listening to this person and listen to us. I don't know if I ever made the point of what I'm trying to say. If medical professionals want to have people listen to them, they need to stop using the corporate media outlets to try to get their messages across, because they're completely tainted in the eyes of many people, mine included. People of the cultural bubbles that I frequent the most are like even more so gone than I am. It's like they'll think anything they say is a lie, even if I personally agree. I'll personally agree with some things and be like, oh yeah, that makes some sense. But some people are just like completely, if CNN says it, it's fake. If some people are like, if Fox says it, it's fake. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, they don't trust Fauci. It's like I said, having a hard time getting all my thoughts together tonight, so hopefully I'm not too off the rails. But my main point, the thing I was just trying to say with this is the lack of trust in corporate media interests has made it very difficult for people to trust credible medical information going through those channels, because that's just basically it. Probably need to go ahead and get to sleep. Take care if you guys listen to this. I appreciate you. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Be nice. If you want to fight about vaccines and shit, I really don't give a fuck at this point, dude. This is too much, man. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate you all, and yeah, take care.